Okay, so let's now move on to the main thing we want to talk about here. It's the World Rugby Under-20s Championship taking place in South Africa at the moment. Ireland had their first match against England at Parle Gymnasium Stadium. The weather was supposed to be, there's been a lot of rain about the place, but it cleared up in time for our match. So it was on Saturday lunchtime, our time, and it finished a really exciting 34-all draw. What did you make of it all?
As I don't know if you were watching it on Virgin, if they're the same commentary, but the commentary on YouTube from our South African friends was like saying, yeah, it's like kissing your cousin. And I can kind of get that adage, because with 15 minutes gone in the second half, we thought we were in to get a shellacking ourselves. England had pulled ahead. We were looking very physical, very powerful, and not without any skillful play themselves. I thought at the end of the day, and then our comeback sort of midway through the second half, after what I would say a very lucky yellow card for England, possibly could have been more. Yep. Talk about that in a second. You know, you could see Ireland playing their patterns a bit better. Everything going through Prendergast and Fintan Gunn, who I thought both had really good games within the game. Sam's boot, maybe we'll have a chat about that as well. But at under-20s level, I think Richie Murphy said it and Mark Mappletoft said it as well. Momentum is huge, even probably more so in the senior game, because there's bigger swings in the under-20s, and we've seen it during the Six Nations, where France were on top of Ireland for a long time when Ireland came back. England were on top of Ireland for a while and came back. Wales were on top of Ireland, but Ireland came back. They just couldn't pull it out here in the end, and probably that will come with experience when these guys get more game management, as we like that phrase. You know, could Ireland have kicked the corners a bit more with a 12-point lead hard in those conditions, because the wind was fairly flattened to the faces. So, you know, cards played a big impact in the second half of this game. I'd say Ireland were probably slightly disappointed only being 5 points ahead at halftime. You know, that was a big old wind, probably, you know, old school parlance is a 12, 15 point lead that you needed. And England showed they probably played the conditions a little bit better than Ireland did. I think Ireland's skill set is still a little bit better than England's at the moment, but the power game England have when they want to turn it on is very, very impressive. The number 8, who was at London Irish, is now signed for Quins, is certainly one to watch. And I know a lot of people didn't take too kindly to Chesham's language at the end of it, but the guy's a nightmare. He's a guy you want in your team, not to play against, because he's a big old lump. He sets the tone as captain as well. And, you know, there's a certain Martin Johnson about him in terms of how he deals with his own players and deals with referees. And I thought he was excellent. All in all, 34-all is probably a fair result for both teams in what is a very, very tough group. You know, Australia are always good. And I know it was a bit of a basketball score, in their game against Fiji. So, you know, it's 4 days, I think, is a Thursday we're playing Australia.
Yep.
You know, England won't have it easy against Fiji. They'll probably come out on top as well. I think Ireland have to beat Australia by probably 15 points to come out of that group, because I can't see the second best placed team coming out of that group. Some guys put their hands up, but I thought the match adjudicators and whoever was given man of the match got it spot on with Fintan Gunn. I thought he had a cracking game.
Yep.
And I know a lot of press has been given about Sam Prendergast, but you know, I think Fintan Gunn's the real deal as well.
Well, let's talk about Sam for a bit. I mean, anyone who watched that game will obviously. It's hard not to mention the four missed conversions. So that's 8 points right there. Even one of them would have made a big difference. So obviously there was a confidence thing, but it's not. I mean, you know, that's something that can be fixed. I mean, look who his coach is now, Richie Murphy. I mean, he's had a lot of experience, you know, being kicking coach to the best in the game. So I wouldn't worry so much about that, but just in his general play, both with and without the ball. I mean, he did impress on the day.
Usually a player, and we've seen it many a time at senior level, where you miss your first 2 or 3 or 4 kicks, it affects the rest of your game. The perfect example of this, and I'll throw one out of the bag, is the European Cup final, the Heineken Cup final of 2000, when O'Gara couldn't hit a cow's backside with a banjo, you know, and it affected the rest of his game. You know, he had a poor game. There's an innate confidence in Sam Prendergast and his abilities. He's 6'3", 6'2". He'll fill out that frame, you know, a little bit more. Like, we know his older brother isn't exactly a behemoth, but he's still a big man. But one's a flanker, one's a 10. You know, how many turnovers did we have because Prendergast has no problem stepping into that defensive line, putting his body on the line. I still like to see him tackle a little bit lower.
Yep.
With the newer laws in the last couple of years, he's playing with fire there. But what impresses me most is just his calmness and his composure in attack. Everything good that we did went through him. You know, he seems to know his role at every breakdown, at every phase, which just instills confidence. And then his try was brilliant, to run through an 8 and a 6 and just go, right, lads, I'm having you 5 yards out. I'm a fly half, but I'm just going to take on the two biggest back rowers that they've got and take them with him. Like, it wasn't like they nearly stopped him. He was getting over the line, no problem. Again, people are saying don't get too hype, give him too much hyperbole. I can't give the kid enough credit. I think he's someone very exciting to watch, and hopefully he gets his shot with Leinster next year. I think he's ready. You know, we've had cases where we've held players back before, and sometimes they sink or swim. You know, Gordon Darcy started off fairly young, sank for a while, but then eventually became one of our best swimmers. O'Driscoll took to it like a duck to water. You know, players that I think I played my sort of era. Jordy Murphy was that good at 18, 19 as well. Play him.
Yep.
Play him. You know,
yeah.
he'll only get better. He'll only get better with better players around him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that you don't want to you don't want to be give too much praise to the youngsters at this level, but then on the other hand, it's different for different people, and he you know, we can only go on what we've seen, and we saw in the under-20s with the Grand Slam, but also for Leinster that time in those couple of matches down in South Africa, that he's a confidence kind of player. He is, you know, especially in open play. You know, he does seem to have some issues with the boot, but there's time to fix all that. Not just in the place kick. He's had a couple of kicks out of the hand and stuff that may not have gone as far as he liked, but that's all stuff that can be worked on. And like you say, that there's only one way to fix it, and that by going back out on the pitch and playing. And like you say, hopefully next season with the World Cup team away as well, there'll be chances for him to get some game time in the blue jersey, maybe a few home matches as well. And it, you know, could definitely stand to him. And, you know, don't forget Fintan Gunn as well. Like, I mean, like you say, they do seem to be a good pairing.
Yeah, you've got like the set move where we went two phases right, and then Gunn kicked back for the flanker on the wing. Excellently executed. But Gunn, I don't care if I offend any Munster people. Gunn just looks like a better version of Craig Casey, to be honest with you. I think he's got more to his game.
Yeah, I came out of that. I mean, you don't want to bring the Leinster-Munster thing into it too much, but I did come out of that game thinking that down the line, we're going to have a lot of Gunn, Casey, Prendergast, Crowley debates in the future. I think maybe for the Ireland jersey, and what a lot of fun that will be.
As you'll have arguments with Ruan Quinn and Culhane, and
yeah,
it's a great, and
it's what you want. You want to be having these.
Tierney and O'Connell, and these are the things you want to have. You know, Ulster have a great back rower, McNabbie there. You hope to see him get some game time as well for the Northern Province when the World Cup is on. You know, there's the difference between England and Ireland teams yesterday. A lot of people were commenting, going, wow, they look like monsters. And I'm like, yeah, but we beat them. We've beaten them for the last few years. We should have beaten them on Saturday. Then again, I'm sure England would have said they should have won the game as well. I think the two cards needed review.
Yep.
The Ireland card, no problem, stonewall red. Stonewall red for me.
This was Hugh Cooney towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hugh Cooney is, I don't know who his replacement is, but Hugh Cooney has been excellent for the last 7-8 games for Ireland through that Grand Slam. Doesn't look the quickest, doesn't look the strongest, doesn't look the flashiest, but he always makes the right decisions, and he's always there as a support player on people's shoulders. And there's been great times for Ireland to play the ball out the back. Kudos to Paddy McCarthy for a lovely little slip out the back for that the try. But the two centres click so well. Prendergast always knows that he's got an outlet with both of those centres to take some pressure off him if needs be. And he'll be a massive loss. Massive loss. But I thought the TMO probably didn't get the right angles, or the angle you could see. There was one shot, as per production problems in every country, there was one shot where you saw both the England 8 and 7 both hit shoulder to head, which if you're going to go, if one does it and the other does it, you heard Gus McCarthy going to the referee, said, why isn't it 2 yellow cards? Because it was a simultaneous hit on the head. Never seen it before, but doesn't mean it shouldn't happen if it's the correct decision. But during that 10-minute period, Ireland looked good. They went at England, and then when England had the numbers up, they went at Ireland. So
that
was
the one that was it was a yellow for their flanker Greg Fizelau. And that definitely looked bad. Especially, and we're thinking of this like just a few hours earlier, we'd seen that in the Super Rugby final as well, and it was still fresh in the mind. And on the Hugh Cooney, it was interesting that you said you don't know who's going to replace him, because in our last pod a week ago, we had a ball handling hooker on. He spends a lot of time studying the under-20s. He knows a lot about their forms, and he follows them closely. And the one thing he actually said coming out of that about the Irish squad is that we've good replacements in pretty much every position, except for Hugh Cooney. And
it's why I mentioned it, because
he's the one guy that so you can have a listen back. People can have a listen back. Maybe he talks about the wider squad and our chances. And so hopefully, and talking about what's coming up next, I mean, these under-20 championships, one feature of them, if you can call it a feature, is the short turnaround times. It's like a 5-day for everyone. Now everyone plays in the same day. It's the same conditions for every team, but you really got to be careful with your squad rotation. And like you say, they've got Australia coming up next. They had a 46-37 win over Fiji. But they had a red card themselves as well. They had a prop sent off. Marley Pierce was sent off, so they'll be looking at. They'll have to make big decisions as well. But I think the feature of this under-20s thing is that we can say, oh God, New Zealand are strong, South Africa, the home team, are strong, England are strong, France, blah blah blah, all this strong. But the fact of the matter is, like, so are Ireland, and Ireland is up there with all these teams. But this draw means they do have to get a good result to get out of the pool into the semifinals. But they're definitely in contention, whatever they do.
There's the old school IRB top level teams have really come on. Scotland, I haven't seen too much of. They were pretty poor in Six Nations. Wales seemed to be building something. That was a good result for Wales against New Zealand. They only lost by a point. It's probably the best they've played in a long time. It'll be interesting to see how consistent they are. But as the commentators were saying yesterday, England go into this tournament ranked 5th. Ireland are actually ranked 8th, despite being Grand Slam champions. So that's why we're in that group with Australia, and
it's because of COVID. They're based on the last time they had a tournament.
So we're going to. It's not. There's no easy game. There's no gimme in this at all. Fiji scored some cracking tries. They're a typical Fijian team. Will we be fitter than them? I think we probably will. But is it good? Is it going to be? We match up quite well against Australia. Similar type teams, both looking to move the ball. Not as physically large, say, as the South African or English packs. But as you said, it's great to have both the senior men's and the under-20s in the mix here come World Cup time. It's the one or two players who they've lost from the Six Nations to this. I think Culhane just knits that pack together. I think McNaby's better 6. you know, and those subtle little differences are probably the difference between us beating England in Musgrave and drawing this time, you know, and that's the way it goes, you know. A positive result against Australia gives us a massive chance, but you know, we can't look any further than next Thursday. You got to do it there, because Fiji could pull a result out against England. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's definitely something to look forward to. I think it's an earlier kickoff on Thursday for Ireland, so we'll be checking on that. We'll probably do a pod after that, seeing how that went.